granddaughter, who's going to be turned 16 months old. Education is one of my main things that I see. I've been around the world. I've seen other education systems. Over in Japan, they start at age 3. They go, the kids are by the time that they're in junior high, they have to compete to get to that next level, that next school. Why can't we look at that system and possibly mold our children to outdo the Japanese children, the Chinese children, because our education is fallen so behind that our kids cannot compete in the sciences and the math. And I think we need to look at that tremendously so our children can be #1 again, not 29th in the world.
First of all, let me thank you for your service. I don't know if you heard her say she's a veteran, and we want to thank you for that. I think we do have to focus on the problem that she described. You know, we are now in a global competition. Until relatively recently, we didn't have to worry about what the Chinese kids were learning, what the Indian kids were learning. We do now, because we're competing for jobs that can be done lots of different places in the world. So we do have to have an emphasis on academics, on math, on science in particular. And we've got to be more focused on how to deliver that so that more students feel that it's something they want to do. And I've done a lot of work on this, and I think it's important to recognize that it does start in the early years, but there are lots of ways to kind of get the interests of kids in science and technology and engineering and mathematics. And I hope that together we can do that. I'll just tell you one quick story from Arkansas, because you heard a reference when Bill was governor. He asked me to chair a commission to change the standards in the Arkansas schools. So we did a bunch of different things, but one thing we did was to create a math science academy. Now, why did we do that? Because we had a lot of rural school districts that could not provide all of the advanced learning that kids who were interested in math and science would want. So we created a high school that kids from around the state could apply to go to. So you've got hundreds of kids who come from little tiny towns who are interested in science and math, and they can get extra help in doing that. That's just, what? Yeah, it does need to start lower, but that's just an example of something that can be done. And I think that you've got to kind of inspire a love of learning. Now, the only thing I would say is I'm not in favor of rote learning. I don't think that is the smart way. I'm in favor of igniting kids' imaginations and giving them the support to explore and learn on their own. So we got to do both of those. Yes? What are we going to do about outsourcing jobs? We're going to create more jobs here at home. And the way we're going to do that, I believe if we do energy right, we can create 5 million new jobs, and these are jobs that can't be outsourced. If we have a real solar program in America, somebody's got to climb up on that roof and put the solar panel on. If we have a real emphasis on wind energy or geothermal, somebody's got to actually do it here. It's not, you don't pump it in from India. You got to do it right here in Nevada. So energy is not only a great job creator, it's a way of preventing the outsourcing of jobs. And the other thing about that is we have to end every single tax advantage that still exists in the tax code that encourages people to take jobs somewhere else instead of keeping them right here in America. So new jobs must end all of those tax practices. I see a young hand right there. Yes. What am I going to do about global warming? Well, I want to do a couple of things about global warming. Number one, I want us to have more energy efficient homes and businesses. We will cut our emissions of greenhouse gases if we cut our use of electricity, and if we make electricity from renewable sources. I think it's very important and significant that Senator Reid has said no more coal plants in Nevada. In order to make that possible, you got to clean up the coal plants you have. You've got to sequester the carbon, and you have to get what you would lose in electricity from other sources. Right now, Nevada is a net importer of electricity. So Nevada has to figure out how to generate more electricity, hopefully from renewable sources. We've got all this empty federal space, federal land here in Nevada. It should be packed with wind turbines. It should be packed with solar arrays. It should be, Nevada should be the test case for renewable alternative energy. And then the other thing we got to have is a cap and trade system. That's what I have promoted, so that we make the people who make the money from polluting and greenhouse gas emissions have to pay for it. Then we would take that money and we would give it to families like all of yours so that you would not have to pay higher energy prices. This could be a net benefit for average consumers. Now, you'll have to do things like weatherize your homes, be more efficient, simple things. If you put one compact fluorescent bulb in, you will save energy. If you put them all in, you'll save a lot of energy. Next time you have to buy a washer or a dryer, look for an Energy Star that says it's more energy efficient. So there are things individuals have to do as well as the government. And I think that's what we've got to start being smart about. Now, I'm going to take one more because I know it's late, and there's so many here. But I'll stay down here and answer your questions if I haven't had a chance. This gentleman right there.
Well, you know, you talked about a lot of things there, you know. We didn't talk about how you're going to fund them. That's what I want to know.
Yeah! Okay, well, let me ask this gentleman to answer the question first.
Bob Johnson, and thank you for coming to Fernley, but you've also been in Fallon, because I was there with you. Thank you for showing up here. My question is, whenever you look around us, we are an agricultural community, both in Fernley and Fallon. And my question is, the farm bill that you were voting on today, does this deal with our surpluses in the United States? As you well know, we import more food stuff from China than we export. And we have a lot of hungry people in here. Does that farm bill address that?
Yeah, the Farm Bill does try to begin to do a couple of different things. Number one, we need to have more locally grown food that is consumed locally. That is why I'm a strong supporter of something called country of origin labeling. I want to know where my food is from. You know, one of the biggest products from New York are apples. We're the second biggest apple producing state in America. A lot of people don't even know we have farms in New York, but we do. We have about 34,000 family farms. So we produce a lot of apples. When I go to a supermarket, I want to know where my apple's from, because I'd rather buy a New York apple than a Chinese apple. And I can't know that now because the Bush administration has prevented us from implementing country of origin labeling. Number two, we have got to raise the standards of imported food to meet our own food. I do not want lower standards of food coming into this country, and that means that'll provide a better market for our own food, because if you have to raise the standards for what the food producers and exporters do from places like China, it'll be more expensive for them, and then we'll have more competition right here at home. Thirdly, we've got to have more distribution from smaller farms. Right now it's all agribusiness, and it is all too corporate. And we've got to have more connections so that people who are local producers can get their products into markets. Right now it's much too difficult. We also have to do more to support family farmers instead of corporate farmers who basically are producing all over the world now. They may have an American headquarters, but they've got, you know, properties in Mexico, Brazil, China, and elsewhere. That's why we've got to put more emphasis on local producers. So I think there's a lot we can do to get back to more of a balance, and there's some good things in that farm bill. And let me answer the young man's question. Everything I have proposed, I tell you how I pay for it. Go on my website, HillaryClinton.com. Now, one thing I'm going to do, and some of you may disagree with this, but I'm taking the tax breaks away from people making more than $250,000.